Bhai Ho To Aisa, a film released in 1972, directed by Manmohan Desai. Let me tell you a few lines of what the story is all about. The Thakur, played by late Sapru Saab, has two sons. The older Ram, played by Shatrughan Sinha, and the younger one Bharat, played by Jitendra. Ram leads a complete wayward life, while Bharat, that's Jitendra, is a dutiful son who controls the family fortune. Ram feels humiliated that whenever he needs money or anything, has to ask Bharat. Bharat, who is too a dutiful brother, obliges. But Ram is not happy. He wants to amass the family fortune and decides to kill Bharat. When Bharat learns of this plan, he is completely shocked. They make an attempt on Bharat's life and Bharat lets them believe that they have succeeded. Bharat disguises himself as a dacoit and comes back into the house to make things right. How he reforms Ram? Please watch the film. Let me tell you a little how it began. Manmohan Desai was visiting Baroda for a function. While driving through the city, he happened to notice the Baroda Palace. He looked at it and instantly fell in love with it. He saw the architecture, beautiful turrets, very lovely balconies, great to film. With it were lush green lawns, very well manicured gardens, and he kept it in his mind, the next film I make will be in and around this place. He called all his writers and said, this is the location that I want. Now let's make a script around it. They said, so what do we make? He said, I'm sure about two things. One, I don't want to make a costume drama. That is a story of the medieval era. Nor do I want to make a story based in the city. I want to go halfway. Let us use this palace as a Haveli, a Thakur's Haveli. The second thing he was sure of, that he wanted to use the art of sword fencing for the action sequences, not blows like they usually had. This thing was very, very clear in his mind. He said, now that you have these two parameters, let's start work. When the story was ready and the key scenes were being written, Manmohan Desai sent the executive producer to obtain permission to film in the palace. But unfortunately, he was politely declined. On hearing the news, Manmohan Desai was very upset, for he had set his heart to film in that location. He told the producer, let's go. I would like to meet Fateh Singh Raoji personally and ask him what the problem was. Upon meeting him, he asked them, he said, what are your concerns? He said, just told him that no, I don't want any filming in my palace. So Manmohan Desai said, why? Have I harmed you in any way? He said, you need not harm me for me to say no to you. No means no. After this, what Manmohan Desai said was very interesting and very true. He told Fateh Singh Raoji, he said, sir, all the other states are showcasing their forts, their palaces, their Havelis. For example, Rajasthan, down south, the Mysore Palace, Rajendra Villas, Lalita Mahal. Why is Gujarat not doing so? That thought hit the Maharaja Sahib home. Further, he said, sir, I am being a Gujarati, my producers being Gujarati, that is the Nadiyadwalas of a very famous film family, from a place called Nadiyad, me from being Navsari, from Surat. If you don't help us, who will? Maharaja Sahib was finally very amused and he said, above all, sir, you hear my story and you hear some key scenes, you'll freak out. He was in his full form. He started narrating the story and this will happen and after that this scene will come. Finally the Maharaja Sahib stopped him and he said, my friend, I surrender. I will give you the permission. So he said, what convinced you? He said, your passion, your enthusiasm, your honesty and your simplicity. But please promise me one thing. You won't damage my property, neither will you spoil my lawns or my lush gardens. My father said, even if we do that once, throw us out of the bloody palace. We assure you that we will not do so. And if you want, we can deposit a certain amount of money with you for your assurance. He said, no need. I trust you completely. That's how they managed to get the permission. Once he had fixed up sword fencing in his mind, Manmohan Desai approached both the actors, Mr. Jitendra and Mr. Shatrughan Sinha, and he told them, please learn the art of sword fencing. Jitendra ji had done it in 1 or 2 films earlier. So he said, please brush it up. And he told Shatruji, please, I will send an action director to you. He will teach you the art. Because I want a lot of realistic shots and as much of minimalistic duplicate work as I can. It will be very, very effective. They both did, and see the results on the screen. It's absolutely marvelous.